All right, y'all. I'm back with a little video. I know my last video it was supposed to be a top three, and I think I did like four stocks. So I'm sorry about that, but they all hit. So go back and watch that video, and then go look at the charts that I did, and they all pretty much hit. Apple, like it went up to profit. It went past uh this one too. So on Airbnb, you had two ways to buy. You could have bought down here at the low, or like I said, when price breaks over 127.72, that's when you could truly buy and look. Like $4 move turned to $9, almost 10. Yeah, I did like two more, but I don't have time for that. So I'm gonna just go ahead and just hop right in. So NVIDIA, I'm low-key short. So March is a bearish month in the market. So just based off the past, March, it's usually a bearish month. So just be aware that gap on SPY at 675 still has to get filled, right? But anyways, for NVIDIA, this one right here, it's like it doesn't look like a buy yet. And then two, this close, like, look, we closed under this low right here. And then we also reinforce that bears are still in the market because what happened to this candle on the 4 hour? It puts lower, then we bounce right here. So this one, so just based off of this, as long as as long as price can stay under 179.18 to like 180, I'm looking at price to come down to 172 and fill this gap right here on the lower time frames. So this is just the 4 hour time frame. Like this is a bearish candle right here. This candle went from 194 down to 185, right? Close down here. Next candle, just a doji candle. Then what happened? Gap down, right? Broke under, came back up to test this. We cannot hold. So pretty much the market is trying to find the buyers. Like so pretty much where are the bulls at, right? The bulls are down here at 172. So then if I go down to the 30-minute time frame, you can see even better, right? We have this gap right here that price needs to fill. And then this was the main area where price went sideways, right? And then what happened? It broke out, test went up. So that's what I mean is we should be heading back down in the zone and we tap this zone, right? If I were to bring this down to this wick right here of this candle, we tapped it, and that's why we have this bounce. But I expect us to go lower and fill this gap to at least 172 before we go up and fill this gap at 183. Or what price could do too is on Monday we could gap up to 183. And if we don't close above this gap, back down. Like I'm not. And I already know I'm have people like, oh, you're not bullish on the video. I mean, I am for the long term, but as of right now, just based off this chart that I'm seeing, where's the bull flag? Where's the inverted head and shoulders? Where's the bullish engulfing candle? Exactly. And people can argue, well, we swept this low, so price could go back up. No, all the time. That's not how it works. It needs to sweep the low and that next candle needs to be a bullish candle with volume. If there's no volume behind that candle, well, if there's no volume behind the next two candles that swept that low, then price is just going to continue to fall. So even right here, right? We swept the low, but like there's no buyers right here. What happened? We have these tiny blue candles, and what happened to price? Bang, just dropped. So that's what I mean. So that's NVIDIA. On PLTR, if we somehow do go to war with Iran or something, it's PLTR. They're backed by the White House and the government. It's PLTR, right? It's it's surveillance, right? So this one, I'm low key long on it. as of right now. So I'm just looking at 140. The highest I see is 145, right? I see it's coming at least halfway in this red candle right here before we either tank back down to the lows or we go back up. But the reason I'm bullish on it is if we look on a daily time frame, right? Although this candle doesn't have a lot of volume on it, right? It's a doji candle. And what happened? We had this bullish engulfing candle. And even right here, you can tell they were buying this candle up because this red candle was down here and it wicked up here. And this doji, it went inside this wick, right? Got more orders. And then did we sweep this low? I don't think we swept this low right here, but it came close. So truth be told, you could call this a higher low if this is a low, right? Impulse up, the retracement down. You could call this a higher low right here at 126.37 if you really wanted to. And then two, we broke this doji, right? Then we broke this red hammer or this red inverted no this red hammer candle, whatever it's called, bro. Pretty much what I'm trying to say is we broke these two red candles and our price is looking to go up and fill this wick right here. So that's why I'm looking, and this aligns with this trend line that I drew from this blue candle to this red stick down here. And this trend line is a solid trend line because you're looking to pass this look. So that's what I'm saying is I can see price coming in this zone right here. Right here. This is called something. I forgot the term, the exact term, but there's a Don trader who does this. I forgot what it's called. I gotta look up that video. But and then two, if we pretty much break this zone, I'm looking at this next part of the puzzle to be filled like right here. I wish I could draw it better. Let me use the triangle. Like right here. So yeah, so I'm pretty much looking at 145 on PLTR just based off the daily time frame. And then on the 4 hour, I don't use the strat. I use the one to mark out all the bars that are inside, and threes are they're the outside bars. So that's all I use it for. It's to just mark my insides and my outside bars. But yeah, but even just based off the 4 hour time frame, like I can see a price because look, we had this bearish pressure right here, but price started to slow down, right? And now we're getting these bullish sticks. So that's what I'm saying. So that's what I'm saying is I can at least see 145 on PLTR. The highest would be this candle right here, which is 145.87. So yes, I can see 145.87. And that would confirm, truth be told, you can wait for the break of 137 of this red stick right here, because what should happen is price should break this and it should leave a wick, and then price should come down. It should come down slightly as a retest, and then it should go back up and continue. That's what should happen. Or we just gap up on Monday up to 145, and then that's the end of that. But PLTR 145. Last but not least is Oracle ORCL. This one I'm bearish too. Uh, Only because it's like just look at the overall trend. We are in a downtrend, right? We are in a downtrend, and even though we are trading sideways right here, I think there's a gap down here. I think that's why I drew this level. I gotta check and see again. But yeah, I'm not fighting the trend on this one. Like it's still in a downtrend, and on a 3 month, like look, we still have a month of this candle. So that's what I'm saying. Like this 3 month can still come down and sweep this low at 140. But let me go to a 4 hour. Yeah, but on the 4 hour short term, it should go up to at least 149 and fill this gap. And then two, as long as price doesn't break over 150, as a as long as the body of the candle doesn't close over 150.36, I'm looking to the short side still because look, we still have this gap to fill down here at 136 point. Pretty much, I'm just gonna say at 137, right? Price has a gap to fill at 137. It also has a price. It also has a gap to fill at 148, right? So with that being said, I'm gonna do this to make it easier so that way y'all see what I'm talking about. As long as we don't break this tiny red zone up here, because all this right here is just a gap. And then I'm gonna just leave this one no background so that way y'all can actually see what I'm talking about. And truth be told, you can have two entries. If you want to be like super precise, just put your stop above here. But yeah, but this one, like I'm looking at like 148, 149 area to be tapped. And as long as we don't break over 150.36, I'm looking for a price to come down and sweep these lows and fill this gap. But if you want to be on the safe side, just wait for the break of 142.10. Like it's not the best entry, but it's not the worst. Because I mean, you're still catching break of 142. I mean, you're still catching like a $5 move, which still isn't bad. Like that's not a bad trade-off. Like I'm not I can't be bullish yet until we come down and fill this gap and bounce. Because like I said, it's just been in a downtrend. It's just been in a straight downtrend ever since. And then from here, this gap, I mean, we gapped up, left the gap, came down, we filled this gap right, gapped up again, filled this gap right here, right? So now we have this gap and this gap. I don't think it's gonna fill this gap up here at 155 yet until we take out these lows. Because you can't go higher without going lower. You can't go lower without going higher. And with that being said, I will see y'all in my next video.